Derek Moneyberg here. You're about to download some key money-making philosophies in your head with this next lesson. And once you do, go to moneyberg.com and let's accelerate your success even faster. You know, not everybody's supposed to be an entrepreneur. An entrepreneur is a special type of mental illness, a real entrepreneur, where you just want to work every day. I like to work every day. I don't take a day off. I don't say that as a joke. I don't say it to sound cool. I just like to work every day because it doesn't feel like work to me. I really enjoy what I do, so it doesn't feel like work to me. So, you know, that's a different type of thing. But when you have that sort of motivation inside, or that sort of thought inside, where it's not painful to get up and just be productive from the time you woke up till the time you go to sleep, it's really hard to compete with somebody like that. It's really hard to compete with somebody like that. Nobody wants to compete with me in a space that I'm in. Something that I care deeply about and I'm doing every day like that, like, you don't want to do that. Pick something, you know, find one or two things to concentrate on and do that shit, guys. You're not going to be great at everything. Find the one or two things that you can be great at, that you can have the sort of competitive advantage that he and I were just talking about. And if you're not excited to go do that shit every day, you're not going to. You're not going to be much good at it. You might be a bullshit marketer or, you know, con man, scam artist, but you're not going to be much good at actually doing the thing. And that can only last so long. That can only last so long. You know, the problem is human subjectivity. Is, you know, all of us, you know, everybody in this room and, you know, every bum living on a sidewalk here in the San Francisco area, they all got the same goals, you know? The people at Stanford, the people on the sidewalk, us. And, you know, it's a matter of, you know, what this fellow in the front row is saying, it's like, well, how do I find the efficiencies to optimize that? What does the optimization function look like? How would I spend my time in a more optimal way to get the basket of goods that he would prefer, you know? And it's going to be slightly subjective. It's going to be slightly different for all of us, man. So, you know, in nerd econ talk, they'd say that your point on your optimal point on your subjective marginal utility curve would be different for everybody here. All that means is, you know, it's a fancy nerd talk for, you know, subjective marginal utility curve. Just means, you know, your trade-off of, you know, apples versus oranges versus time working on your business, et cetera. You know, the myriad of things that you might have some concern for in the world. So, you know, where do you start depends on you. Depends on who you are and what your goals are. You know, things that I wanted to resolve early is like, well, you're young, you go to college. I spent 9 years in universities. I'm a high school dropout. I grew up with, you know, all sorts of buffoons and idiots and really some awful people. And I wanted to be far away from that. I wanted to be far, far away from that. So, you know, I made sure I got my ass in college. I had to take a GED test and then go to a community college for the first couple of years. Then I got scholarship money to go to a good private college, 50% scholarship. And they gave me that scholarship for 4 years, even though I needed 2 years of classes. And I'm a nerd and half a Jew. I know you are Jewish also. You're not? I decided that you are. Now you're Jewish. You didn't know? No. Now you are. Now you're, huh? Everybody came here for an awakening, and you just had yours. So, yeah, I went all 4. I took all advantage of all 4 years of that. So I had, 6 years to finish undergrad. I had 192 or 193 credit hours. I forget. It was one or the other. And you need like 124 or something to graduate. But, you know, I was 2 classes away from a second bachelor's and a philosophy degree. I had a minor in philosophy, minor in psychology, 2 classes away from a minor in communications, and a bunch of other little miscellaneous classes. So I actually wanted to go there to learn stuff more than I cared about a degree. I cared about education, because, you know, smart people get shit done that dumb people can't do. So, you know, then I went, and I did all of that, you know, highest honors, because I wanted to go to a premier graduate school later in business, and that's what you do. So, you know, I didn't have the anxiety that some people have filling out graduate applications, because I had a far above average GPA, even for the top business schools, for the best ones in the world. I had far above average GPA. You know, I had to study and get my graduate exam, my GMAT, Graduate Management Admissions Test. I had to get that score nailed down. It took a couple months to do that. Hired a bunch of tutors. You can't spend months of your life on it. Could I figure it out? Could I get the book and figure it out by myself in 6 months? Yeah, I could. You know, or I could figure out in, you know, 6 or 8 weeks instead. And I took every prep class. I took every major prep class. I took 4 prep classes and then hired private tutors to help me with that too. So I could do it in 2 months instead of 6 months. And I did. So I had an average GMAT score. I didn't need to have better than that. Once I started getting the average score consistently, when I was a couple points above average, consistently on the practice exams, I'm like, all right, I got an above average GPA. If I hit the average score, no problem, easy admit, So I did that. And, then other areas away from the school stuff, so, there's 9 years of university courses there. Other stuff away from the schools, well, I wanted financial independence. I grew up poor. I hated it. And, it's American poverty, so, for people that are from a different country here or people listening from a different country, I get that, it's American poverty. But, is like the 2 or 3 percentile of America. And I hated it. I hated every day of it. How many of you guys grew up poor or had some period in your life where you went to bed hungry or feel like shit about not having enough money? Yeah. But that don't feel great, yeah? So, fuck that. I wanted to work on business stuff. So those are my 2 primary concerns for a period of time. I've seen John Conway talk about this. He's just like, pursue your dream. And if that doesn't work, I'll get another dream. That's the guy that's managing, I don't know the number, but more than $100 billion today. Something closer to 200 billion than 100 billion, I suspect. And there's a lot of overlap between, a man's, willingness or skillfulness at engaging in violence, and your financial life. There's a whole lot of overlap in those. You're going to be embarrassed. You're going to be humiliated. It's going to be bad. You're going to feel like shit, and you're going to wake up tomorrow and you're going to go do it again. And a guy who's not willing to have, there are no successful entrepreneurs. There's 2 types of entrepreneurs. There's entrepreneurs that they've had fantastic success. Well, maybe not even. Let me rewind that. There's entrepreneurs that have had some success, but it comes with humiliation, like soul-crushing failure, self-doubt. You feel awful. You feel like an idiot. The rest of the world looks at you like an idiot, or anybody that cares about you. Your family doubts you. Your friends doubt you. You've burned those relationships with several of those people. You've had to let go of family and friends. They had to be left behind to go do what you're doing, and you failed at it, and you look stupid, and you feel stupid, and the world is happy to point that out to you. Okay? Now, there's the other group of people who haven't had that experience yet, but they're about to. And, the worst thing that could happen is you could get pretty successful at something, and time goes by, and you prolong the period of success before that happens, and you lose everything, and you look like an idiot and feel like an idiot, and the world gets to laugh at you. All right? So if you don't like the sound of that, if that bothers you, go get a nice job somewhere. Go get a nice job somewhere, because that's what it is. There's a couple guys I know, each one of them is a multi-billionaire today, and they say if your project isn't big enough, if it's not $1 billion project, don't start. Now, maybe I got low self-esteem. I still think in terms of tens of millions and hundreds of millions. These guys, they don't want to be involved in a project that doesn't have $1 billion potential. And they mean that literally. They're not saying that as like some aspirational things. Like, well, they already did that, each of them, independently. And that's just a common theme when I talk to either one of them or both of them. We've been together at times too. Common theme, like, if it's not worth $1 billion, don't start. Because there's such a risk of failure that you want to tackle a series of those projects, a series of those things, because most of them are going to be shit. Most of them you're going to fail at. And they also say you'd like to fail fast and often. You'd rather prove yourself wrong in 30 days than 90 days, and then get on to the next project. And fuck that up in 30 days instead of 90 days, and get on to the next project. So, if that's scary, don't do it. If you feel like, well, that sucks, but I see that, I could do that, well, maybe you should do something. Maybe you got a path there. But it's going to, any of those things, if you want to be good at any of those things, you're going to get choked, you're going to be embarrassed, it's going to look bad, it's going to feel like shit, and then maybe you might be very successful on the other end. And most guys won't be. Most guys won't be. That's why people have jobs. It's not, entrepreneurship is a word that people like to say. I quit my last job when I was 19. I'm 41. I'm 40, 21 years. I understood I was an entrepreneur at age 7. I was walking dogs in the neighborhood, cutting the grass, raking leaves, trimming bushes, washing cars, cleaning cars, any little odds or ends types of shoveling snow. I was 7 and I was looking for opportunities like that. By the time I was 10, I had 4 paper routes. I didn't have one, I had 4 paper routes. I did exactly 0 of them. I outsourced them. I'd keep 25% of the money. The other kids in the neighborhood get 75% of the money to do the thing. I trained them how to do it and just rotate through people so it always got done on time. Yeah, and the people were really happy with me because their paper always got delivered because I had several people that wanted to do it versus some other paper boy gets sick. Oh, he gets sick. And then shit don't happen. Well, I didn't have those problems. Things got done. So, I knew that for a third of a century. For 33 years, I knew that I was supposed to go do things like that. It doesn't feel like work to me. I don't know what else I would do. I have that same affliction that, you said if you had all the money that you ever wanted, you'd go start a new business. Same. I just feel compelled to, I want to help other people with their problems and be involved in other entrepreneurial problems. I just love it. It's a fun lifestyle to me. I don't know what else I'd rather do. What else would I do? Travel around the world? I already do that. So, it's amazing where, the reason I'm saying this, it's amazing where some other people focus their attention, where, when they feel like, when they see somebody or they hear something, they're like, oh, I should be more like that too. And then instead of actually doing the thing, they just have a bit of cognitive dissonance. They don't see themselves doing it. They don't see that as a potential future self. Where your attention goes or the things you focus on is really going to determine your outcomes a lot. And I was just smart enough and just lucky enough to get to know that, I was surrounded by a lot of negative role models. So the more that I could surround myself with more positive role models, and the more that I could, earn their attention, through hard work, or a lot of times just paying them and becoming friends later, and then some of them paying them, and I got that only. That's fine. What is graduate school or something? That's what you're doing, my graduate school classes are over $7,000 per class, and you meet 10 times, and that was money well spent. I thought I had a fantastic return on that, and you're doing that in a room of 65 people in a classroom. So, to do that, in more intimate situations, putting myself around, people that were thinking more clearly, they had, healthier habits of productivity, habits of industriousness, avoiding other people. It is creating an us and them. It is a us and them for sure. If you don't have that in your head, that you have this naive idea of equality, a dog knows the difference between different gradients of people. A dog knows that some people's like, oh, that guy is good, and I should stay away from that other one over there. You've all seen that, right? Would you disagree that a dog knows the difference of like a person that's like, industrious and happy and has good intentions versus a person who's, something's wrong with that one? A 6-year-old child knows clearly that, some of these people are better to stay away from. Go around these people, stay away from them. And then somehow as an adult, you guys are supposed to create some new blind spot or naivety, manufacture a blind spot and shame yourself or feel guilty if you don't notice that there's some people are engaging in habits of productivity and industriousness, and they're going to go be somebody, and some people are doing just shit, and it's going to get worse. And there has to be that in group and out group. You have to see that for yourselves, and you're going to define it yourself. It's not for me to define who are the people that you want to be around or not. It depends on who you are and what your goals are. I never tell you guys how to live your life. I give you some structure and how you could think about it to live your best life. I don't come here and moralize what you should do, but the path to the money is having that internal drive, being, very motivated and industrious, smart enough to not take on too many projects at the same time. Go do 1 or 2 things at a very high level. And it'd be easier to add the third thing, maintain those first 2 and bring the third thing in and get it up there. And then, maintain those at 85 or 90% of where your maximum peak. And go bring the next thing in and get it up there. And, you do that for a couple decades, and pretty soon you got a lot of skills, don't you? Pretty soon you got a pretty dope social network. Pretty soon there is a lot of, intellectual and social resourcefulness. I would argue, the main things that are going to differentiate you, to men, to women, to anybody who's assessing you, the main things that are going to differentiate one of you from the other, or us from those people outside who didn't care to be here right now, I'd say there's 2 main categories. I'd say there's intellectual and social resourcefulness, And let me say inside that, why don't I say financial resourcefulness? Well, if your brain was working well and you had high quality people around you, would it be difficult to get money? So I would argue that that's a subset of those other two, that if you had, if your brain was working well and you had a high quality social network, I think money is something that would happen. So I'd say intellectual and social resourcefulness on one hand. I'd say the one other big one that fits in that really solidifies both of those things, intellectual and social resourcefulness again, plus it's the firmness of personality, the firmness of very, very clear values and goals. This is who I am. This is what I'm up to. I am this and this and this. I am not that. And have great clarity inside. Those aren't noble questions that we're talking about of what kind of man am I. These are not noble questions that you say, I'm caring and loving and I love kittens and my mommy. These are not noble questions. What sort of mammal are you? What sort of creature are you? What sort of biological organism are you? What are your natural drives or proclivities, given the sort of biological organism that you happen to be? These are not noble or ethical things we're talking about. So it's really quite the opposite. What are your base instincts and drives? So what kind of creature am I? Given that, what sort of life would I like to live? Given that seems to be my nature as a biological organism, what sort of life would I like to live? What would give you the most happiness? That's another way to say that second question. What would give you the most happiness, given your human nature, given the sort of creature that you as an individual are? What are the things that would give you the greatest lifetime happiness? And I would focus on that lifetime happiness. Is you might not care about your future self at the moment, but your future self will thank you if you do. Your future self will thank you for carrying more now so you can have a better future later. Nobody does that. Not a popular thing to talk about, not a sexy thing to talk about. Maybe the number one thing that people should think about more. If you did those couple things and you had that firmness, who is the in-group and who are the out-group? Who are the people that I need to be spending more time with, given the sort of creature I am, given the sort of things that would give me the maximum happiness over the course of my lifetime? Who are the people that I need to be spending more time with? Who are the people that would add a lot of value to my life, who would give great benefit to my life? Who are those other people that probably would just take away and do not much or make it much worse? And spend no time with them. And then that time management within those frameworks, managing that time, that's what it is, man. So, if you, what are the things, your goals or values that you'd be willing to die for? And some of these things aren't even rational. Like some of you would have been raised in religious families that you wouldn't even call yourself a religious person, but there's some traditions or cultural attributes that they're not even quite rational, but you're probably just going to live that way for the rest of your life, and you've kind of come to terms with that. Are there some of those people here? For sure there are. Yeah. So you might not be that you're adhering to that religion, but you're like, there's a few cultural notes in there. I really like that. So these aren't necessarily even rational things. Just given the sort of creature you are, what would give you the most happiness? Who are the people you would do that together with? Who are the others? Sort that out. And have that firmness of personality that this is not a persona, this is not some fake shit. It's just this is the way you're going to live your fucking life. Just, this is who I am, and this is how I'm going to live my fucking life. That's what we're saying. So if you had that you had that firmness of integrity as an individual, and those intellectual resources and the social resources, and you're going to stand out quite a lot. It's going to be pretty easy for you to be around other high-quality people. It's going to be pretty clear how you would sort through those people and get to the best ones who would help you accomplish your goals. This video is brought to you by Moneyberg.com. I want you to go to Moneyberg.com right now to see where you can meet me live when I come to a city near you. I want you to be part of our audience. I want you to be part of our elite success programs. I want you to be part of the fun. Most importantly, I want you to ensure your success and your financial independence working with me while we travel around the world and help people live their dreams. Go to Moneyberg.com. Success is closer than you think. It's waiting for you there.